Good day, folks. Friday here. Nice day, fishing day. Hope you guys are doing well. This will be a response to question of the week number 48. So, as usual, I'm going to read this question and give my very own response. So, alright, so how do you cope with the numbers, figures, assimilation? Do you learn them by rote or by heart, or perhaps you get them gradually through content? I reckon we should get used to them quickly in the very beginning stages because they are, in my humble opinion, an important linguistic block as keywords or connectors. Thanks in advance for your response. Marco Aguayo. All right, very good question. Very good question. I would have to say this is one of those questions that I would say it all depends on the individual. It all depends on where you learning the language, your approach, what your intentions are for learning the language. This is all a matter of personal preference. For instance, if you're an accountant or you work in a bank and you're interested in learning a language, obviously one of your main focuses is going to be numbers. It's quite evident that it's going to be that way because you're dealing with numbers on a daily basis at your job. So somewhere at the beginning, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get the numbers down, which isn't a bad thing because that is your personal preference. That's what you're doing. That's part of your job. Also, if you're learning at a university or some type of institution where they use a traditional approach, most of the time, you're going to learn the numbers at an early stage. From my experience, going through several books, I noticed that in the early stages, even before chapter 5, they tend to introduce numbers. You end up learning those numbers, so you won't have a choice but to learn the numbers at an early stage. That's that. And as far as like my approach, my approach is not so traditional. It's unconventional. It's not normal, if you will. When I use that approach, I don't necessarily learn all of the numbers at the beginning. I would say some numbers I learn by rote or by heart. For example, I learned things such as, like, if someone asks me, they want to ask me what my age is, I have to learn really quick how to say my age. If I'm 32, I have to hurry up and learn how to say 32 in whatever language I just started. They ask me how long I've been learning the language, then I have to know some numbers, 6 months, a year, whatnot. I have to know those numbers, so I pretty much get those down by rote. Okay. However, I wouldn't really know how to count from 1 to 100 yet until maybe 3, 4 months, 5 months later. So this is just the reason why it's like this is because it's the type of approach I take. What I like to do is there's several things I like to do. I like to try to get used to the pronunciation, the accent, the sound of the language. I like to build sentences using the adequate keywords. This is an approach that I normally take. Also, while I'm using such approach, I like to use a traditional course, such as Teach Yourself, or just any course any course that's traditional. Course used at a university, any course that I can follow while I'm using my very own technique. Why do I do that? Mainly for incorporating the vocabulary with the sentence making that I'm doing with the other technique. So I like to take my time and work from chapter 1, 2, 3. I don't skip anything. Just recently, I started to go through exercises. I wasn't really big on doing exercises, but now I'm actually doing the exercises in the book. So any vocabulary I come across in the chapter, provided that is relevant enough for me to use in sentences, I will use it right away. If there are numbers, if, let's say, chapter 1, if they introduce 1 to 20, I will just learn all the numbers 1 to 20 because that's part of the chapter. That's the part of the content in that chapter. Chapter 2, same deal. I'm learning everything there. I may not use everything, but I'm going to try my hardest to familiarize myself with all of the content there. So that's just my approach again. So it all depends on an individual's approach. All right. So in a nutshell, when it comes to numbers for me, it's all contextual. Like I like to learn through content gradually, except for that the rote learning when I have to learn my age and the number of years or months I've been learning the language. So it's a good thing. I think numbers are great, especially for certain languages. I made an interesting observation not too long ago on certain languages such as Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese. They use like their number system. They associate like the months, the days, the weeks. They correspond with the numbers. Like if you know, for example, if you can count from 1 to 12 in Chinese, you just, I mean, that's it. You know the numbers. I mean, sorry, not. If you know how to count from 1 to 12 in Chinese, you know all of the months already. That's it. You just have to add one word, just one word after the number. Same with Japanese, same with Korean, and then same with the days of the weeks for Chinese. When you know how to count from 1 to 7 or whatnot, um, you know, well, not 7 because it changes. Basically, 1 through 6, then you pretty much know the days of the weeks. You just have to add something afterwards. So that's evident that the numbers are very important when it comes to learning those particular languages. Spanish, um, German, Russian, even some Asian languages such as Indonesian, Malaysian, Tagalog. They don't really use that type of system, and I'm not sure. I don't know if it's due to colonization. Um, for the Philippines or Indonesia, but they don't use that. They don't use the number system to associate with the months of the year and days of the week. But yeah, that is it. So essentially, numbers are very important, but at the same time, it all depends on the individual. It all depends on your intentions, where you learn the language, what you intend to do with the language. Um, so if you're into math, accounting, anything dealing with numbers, you're going to spend a lot of time on numbers because that's what your passion is. That's what you really like. So I think that's it. I hope I covered everything. I will post this video as a response to that question of the week. Feel free to make a video response. Otherwise, thanks for viewing, and hope you guys have a great weekend.